Hello semua. Hello everybody. Okay. So I hope you're having a good first week of your study. So everyone's drop should be finished. As I expected. Okay. So today's consider is our first class officially for the lectures. So last week we have to meet up everyone's through the Zoom platform. Okay, right. So today I will cover for chapter 1, developments of environment concerns, chapter 2 about the ecology, and then finally chapter 3 is about the ethic, right? Okay, because this is a very short topics, so I will go it very fast. That's why I combine 3 chapters in one. Okay, so if you check on the online learning, you will find I put it into separate chapters. So we have chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3 for the first week. Okay, right. So now let us start our class. For the first chapter, developments of environment concerns. Okay, so as what I asked you for the last week on Thursday attendance, I asked you, do you think you care about the environment, or do you protect environments? Okay, so from the response that I received, mainly all of you saying yes. So now we would like to go into detail or like theory side, because all of us are caring about our environments. But do you think is it what you care? Is the correct moral or the correct ethic, right? Okay. So this is the outline for the first chapter. So for chapter 1, you actually only need to know about the changes to the environments and then also the level of the environmental awareness. Okay. So when we mention about the changes, what is the changes? You can identify from the times you are young until now. Okay, for the past 20 years, what happens surrounding you? What is the biggest changes for you? Okay, for myself, for the past for 30 almost 30 years, I used to grow up in a village. Saya besar dari kampung. Okay, so I used to grow up in a village, in a fisherman's village. So the in front of my house is actually a paddy fields. I have a river and then I have paddy fields. Behind my house is actually a river full of fisherman boat, and then end of the river is actually the sea. So I having like a very good village life. So I can see the changes last time, especially when it comes to November and December. It's actually very cold weathers. So because we are on the north hemispheres, so when we are located on the north hemisphere, we actually is like at the end of year is a winter season. Although in Malaysia we didn't have 4 seasons, but then you still will feel the cold air from Siberians. Okay, but that's what compared to now, we actually not really have this much of cold feelings. Okay, right. So this is the theory. So before the legislative control of the environments, air, water, and land use free and open to anyone to dispose of waste. Okay, so before this, any of us, actually whatever you do, whatever you throw, you won't get compound, you won't get fined. But then now is a different one. We have the rules and regulations. So you will see, when you throw rubbish in the wrong place, Majlis Bandaraya have the right to give you a compound, bagi kamu saman. So saman tu yang kamu kena bayar, okay? So and then the pollutions to the water, such as the cases for Selangor recently. So Selangor facing like quite serious of water shortage because of the river being polluted. And then those from Johor, you will know like past 2 years, case for Sungai Kim Kim that affected the whole Pasir Gudang's areas. Okay, so this does not cause a problems if the population is small and the factory is small. and the product that produce are slightly low compared to now. Okay, this won't become any issues for the past time because why? Our population is low, and then our activity from the industry also is very low compared to now. Okay, last time, what is the transportations that you use? From my times, I go to school by bicycle. This is often, even is like a better ones. And if it back to my mom generations, they going to school actually on their foot, so they are walking. So when you're walking, do you contribute any carbon dioxide to the environment? No. So this is like the activity. So our lifestyle changings, our activity changings will contribute to the change of the environment. All right. So and then when we see the populations, it's been growing up and up and up and up. Okay, one person's contribute carbon dioxide, let's say for 100 gram per day. Two-person is 200. How many millions of populations we have on Earth? Okay, so this is also the things. And then let's say one day one person's you need 2,500 liters, 225 liters of water. So when we're having one person is only 225, so you're not consume a lot. But when we have a few thousand, 100,000 of persons, peoples, so this is why the populations and the pollution is actually on the linear relationships. Same with all the activities that we use. Okay. So the ability to absorb the environments, the dilutive capacity is rarely exceeded and are considered to have an infinite capacity to absorb the waste. Okay, let's say you have a sponge. Okay, example. Okay, this is my cup. So when you have a cup, that's about like 250 milligrams. So when you pour water, okay, because I'm home, so I can do this. So when you pour water, you keep on pouring. Will it full and overflow? So it's the same concept, okay? So when we have a lot of populations, so the sponge that going to absorb will need to absorb a lot. So it will soon to be saturated, akan jadi penuh. But then the nature itself, it can clean up itself. Dia boleh cuci, dia boleh bersihkan sendiri. But then when you have too much, can it have the ability to clean it as fast as you are? Okay, a simple example. Okay, every day you have an income for your mom's give you a task. Okay, every day she give you a 500 ringgit Malaysia. She force you to finish it 500 ringgit Malaysia in a day. When you are not able to finish it, so you will have the balance, saving and saving and saving until one day you will reach the limit of 500. So without she giving you the money, you still have your own 500 ringgit. So this is the concept. Okay, so when we're giving too much of the waste, too much of the negative things to our environments, the functions of dilute self-cleaning cannot have the times to clean it up. So this is why we said the population and also the activities is having a direct relationships to our pollutions. Okay, so the changes in the society or community is causing a serious pollutions problems. Okay, so what is the factors that leads to these changings? What are the factors that make our living style or our society change? Okay, the first thing is actually the development and also the population density. Okay, compared to last time, we're having so much of technology, so all this technology, it needs the developments. So when we need the developments, when we construct or we do the developments, it will automatically change and also providing the waste. Okay, as an example, last time what you wear. Okay, so you won't need so much of dress or you won't need so much of shoes. Even You just need the minimum one. But then now, okay, just seeing by yourself. We want a high-rise building. We want the number one in the world. Okay, so when you develop one high-rise building, how much of carbon dioxide that you've been create, how much of heat that you've been released. Okay, all these things, it needs the materials and resources. So where it's come from? It's from the environment. Okay, populations density. Just imagine if you are currently in a house. Okay, in your room, let's say as an example, in your rooms. So is if in a room, you are staying alone now, you free is big and confident, freedoms, right? But that's when your sister enter, your brothers enter, your parents enter. So in that room, when you're having 5 to 10%, what is your feelings? You will feel crowded. So, and then you will start to feel that you didn't have enough of air, all these things. Okay. So second is the increase in wealth. When we say increase in wealth, bila kamu dah berkaya, bila kamu dah berduit, so you want to change everything into something that luxuries. So when you're having a lot of money, you will start to demand, I would like to have a better life. So when you start to want to say you would like to have a better life, then you will start to creating the ways. As an example, a rich person, they might just wear their clothes for once to go for some big events. But then compared to us, how long's your dress long lasting? Okay. My clothes that I enter UUM since 2012, I still wear it until now. Okay. So it is depends how you select all these things. And then the changes in the technologies. Okay, examples, your phone. Every year, there are few seasons that having a new phones, like new tablets, new laptops. So if you are somebody that would like this kind of technologies, then definitely you will follow the trends. So when you're following the trends, it means you are creating also the e-waste. How you dispose your waste? How about your handphones? How many handphones you have currently in your house? And then what do you do with your handphones? Okay. So with all these things, so we need to increase the awareness and also the concerns of everybody towards our environments. Okay, so there are 4 stages in the environmental concerns. So you can see which stages you are. You can identify which stages you are actually. Okay, from the answer that you give me, yes, I'm concerned. So you can check which stage you are for this, okay? For your concern, you are located at which stage, right? Okay, the first stage we have is conservations, pemulihan. We would like to recover it, okay? Second stage is preservations, pemeliharaan, okay? Protections, and finally is the sustainability. Okay, all right. So let's see. Let's see about this. So this is the principle for the wait, let me taking a pen. Okay. So this is the principle. Oops. Okay, I'm taking the text. So here is the principle, and then here is the ethic. Right? Okay. So when you're having this thing, you can see. So the principle of conservation, it means we use the natural resources wisely and we're not wasting it. Okay, so I'm sure this is all about actually in our mind. we don't want to waste. That's why we're having a recycling, because we would like to use our natural resources wisely. We're not going to waste it. So and then that's why we have a replantations. After we cut out the trees, we replant it back. Okay, so when you check about the active, you will see the instruments of the wheel of natures. In that nature has utility only, it serve the human purpose. So if you are on this stage, so what is in your ethics mind from my evaluation is you only care about the environments when you think that environment is having some value for you, because it can provide your own needs. So you are actually start from yourself. Okay, you start from yourself by thinking the benefits for you, right? So this is the ethic. You will see like the principle. Yes, we would like to use it wisely. We would like to protect it, but then the ethics view is actually you think the nature should give you this thing, is their value. If they provide you this thing, if they can't provide you this thing, you will think it's pointless. Okay, later I will give you a good examples. Okay, all right. Next is for the preservations. So certain areas of our countries are to be preserved in their natural state and close to developments. So the most easy example adalah tanah reserve dan juga taman negara, taman negeri. So sometimes when you go and browse in the map, you will see there is some place that actually cannot go for the developments. That one is tanah simpanan. Example, the most recent case, I think all of you must be alert that from Pahang. Okay, ada orang menanam pokok durian di atas tanah simpanan. Okay, so tanah simpanan concept dia, it should be no any developments or activities, only for nature. Okay, so the ethic view is the nature has its intrinsic value apart from the service it provides for the humans being. Okay, we have to think the environments alam sekitar is actually have its own value, although it might be not useful to us. As example, how do you think about a snake? All of us as a human, we will think it's not a good thing, right? To be in this world. So the snake, all these those things that can be harmful to us, we will think it's not good. But then, have you ever think if you kill all the snake, what will happen? So the food for the snake is actually the frog. So if you kill all the snake, the frogs will be, the populations will growing up. So once the frog populations are growing up, what will happen to us? It will cause some problems to our agriculture sectors. So in this world, in our environments, in our ecologies, everybody's have its own needs to be here. Tuhan tak create lah benda tu kalau dia tak ada keperluan dia untuk wujud di sini. Betul tak? Okay? In terms of religions or anything, semua benda you have to always remember everything have its own value. That's why I won't judge my student no matter you are good student or you are bad students, because I always believe my students will have its own good things, the values inside themselves, right? Okay, so the third one is the protections. When we come to protections, what is the principle when we say about protect? Kita nak menjaga. So what is the principle? Okay, we focus on the pollutions, control and dangers to the human health. So this one is the ethic is very human centered from us. Some things that dangerous to us, some things that can be harmful to us, then yes, we protect. But then who we actually protect? We actually protect us, we not protect the environments, all right? And then we might protect the environments, but then because the environments might create the dangers or harmful to us, okay? So the fourth ones will be the sustainability. When we talk about sustainability, I'm sure every one of you have the ideas about sustainable development goal. kelestarian, some things that we need to go longer in long terms, not in short terms, bukan hanya satu semester. That's why I always hope my students, when you finish this subject, at least you can contribute, start from your own a little, what you can do to protect or to help our environments, preserve it for your next generations. Okay, so concerns with the global problems and the equality considerations. Okay, don't only, okay, first of all start from yourself, but then when times by times you should consider about the global problems, global issues. What is the global problems that all of us are facing is actually the carbon release, our carbon footprints. Just imagine, even during MCO, every country, we didn't have any travels, we didn't have any flight flying. Most of the countries are under lockdown situations. The carbon footprint for this year, especially for September, October, September, the percentage are still increasing. So should us think about that? When the carbon dioxide increase, it means our temperatures also increase. Okay, so when you can achieve the final ones, if you're able to achieve the final ones, it means that you are eco-centered, right? Okay. So when you're able to come to the sustainability, it means you are eco-centered. Okay. I have to clean this up. Okay. Okay. Right. So from here, you can see when we talk about the eco-center, so what is the current environmental context? What is the current trendings for our environments that all of you know? Why we care about these things? So when you see the four importance, the current context, there are five for the current one. Okay, there are five for the current one. The first one is the eco center. Okay, ecology center. So we have to take away ourselves, but then put ourselves inside the environments to think from the environments. Second is the equalities, where we have to be fair and square. Don't only be selfish. It's just like the equality in genders. There is nothing that we only say males can do, females cannot do, or females can do, males cannot do. No, try to avoid this. And then the global issues. So you have to think about the global issue things, look into, read more news, look into more global issues, and how we're going to survive in these situations. And finally is the sustainability. And five of these current contexts will lead to meet three objectives of this. There are three efforts that we use to manage our sustainables. So from these five efforts that we having is going to meet these three objectives, right? So the first objective is to disseminate the knowledge and the means necessary to control the human population growth. Second is to facilitate sufficiently dynamic economic growth and equitability distribution of its benefits to meet the basic needs of the human population in these subsequent generations. Okay, in this and the subsequent generations. So it's not only about you, but then also your next generations. And it's not only about your parents, but then also about you and also your coming generations. Okay, to structure the growth in a way that keep its huge potentials for environmental transformations within the safe limit yet to be determined, right? Okay, so that's all for the chapter 1. So we have the 4 stages and then we have 5 currently contexts that will lead to 3 main objectives, right? So just now when we're talking about the final one for the sustainability, I told you guys we have to be eco-centered. When we say about eco, it means is ecologies, ecology center. So you have to understand. You might always ask me, why I have to care? I'm not going to live with that, okay? So, but then I want you to understand what is the concept and also the principle of ecologies. Why we said that ecology is important and then why I need to introduce you guys what is ecologies. Okay, right. So for chapter 2 outline, there are three things, the main things that you need to know. The first one is about the definitions. Okay, second thing is about the concept, and then the third one is about the principles, right? Okay, so the definitions of the ecologies. What is ecologies? Anyone can answer. If now you are reading on the books, on the text, then yes, okay. So what is ecology? Ecologies mean is a house or place to live. Okay, when we say a house, as humans, our house. But then how about for the others organism, for your pet? Let's say if you have a cat, where is the cat house? Somewhere that you prepare for it. Where is your dog house, your puppy house? And then when we say, okay, so when we talk about house, it's not only for us, but then for those other things, no matter it is a living organism or non-living organism. Tak kira dia bernyawa ataupun tidak bernyawa. Let's say kalau dia tak bernyawa pun, when you are small, you have a Barbie doll. Still rumah dia adalah mana? In the Barbie doll house, right? So the place where it's to live, okay? So the most easier concept is when we say about what is ecologies, is a place to live. And then when we say about the place to live, in terms of ecologies also, we need to concern with the biologies of group of organism and with the functional process on the land, in the oceans, and fresh water. And then finally is in the air. Okay, we can't survive as a humans. Okay, kalau kamu tak ada makanan boleh hidup tak? Tak boleh. So we need water, we need air for our oxygen, we need food. From where? From our land, from our oceans. It's no matter the seafoods or even your vegetables. Okay, so we need all of this. You can't say, okay, I no need to care about this because I'm not going to. It's not about me. Okay, but as you have your other things, those food, those drinks, or whatever, that even my clothes, the clothes you are wearing now, is actually coming from the environment. Okay, so it also can be defined as the study of the structures and functions of nature. Okay, the structure and the function of the natures. So the study of organisms and their environments and all the external conditions and factors, living and non-living, is like biotics and abiotics. So there are two terms. You can call this as a living and non-living, or biotic and abiotic. Abiotic is means non-living, biotic is a living one. That affect and organisms. Okay, it is the sign of the interrelations between living organisms and their environments, and deal with the interactions of plants and animals in natural system. Okay, so for me, the definitions that I like the most is actually the first one is it means a house or place to live. And then and the final one, it is the sign of the interrelations between living organism and their environments, like us. We and our environments. And then also we need to deal with the interactions of the plants and animals, our vegetables, our proteins food in the natural system. Okay, so there are 5 levels of ecologies. Okay, we have 5 levels of ecologies. So we start from the individuals. Okay, we start from the individuals, populations, community, ecosystem, and biome. When we said about individual, as you know, individual, it means one, okay, one organism. So you can see from the photos here, okay, it's only one frog. So it means any form of life that including all plants and animal, anyone, as long as it's one. Okay, as our humans, we are one organism, big one organism. So you are here. Second is the populations, the group of individual organisms of the same species living within a particular areas. Your families that living in the same house with you is one population, just like this, the frog families. Okay, so your families is living together, so you are the populations. And then when you come to the community, it means the populations of different plants and animals living and interacting in an area at a particular times. So you are living in a kampong. You are living in a resident area. So you are that resident area or that kampong is actually one of the community. Like all of us, when we are in UUM, I am the organism. In STML, we can say we are one of the populations. When we come to UUM, we are the community. Okay, so the ecosystem, which means when you're having a residence area, you have other shops. So you have a shopping centers near you, you have a train stations, public transport. So all these things, and then also it actually relates to the temperatures, the nutrients, and moisture. How's your plants going to grow up? Okay, it needs a good temperature and the nutrients. Okay, so the community of organism. So the community of organisms and populations that interacting with one another with the chemical and physical factors, making up their environment, so which is temperature, nutrients, and moisture, right? So this is the thing. And then finally is the biome level. So when we talk about biome level is the biggest one. It's only one answer. That is our Earth. Okay, bumi kita. So a classifications of ecosystem into general categories that contain similar types of organism, right? Okay, hope you're clear. How come it didn't clean up? Okay. Okay, so after you know about those levels, so we have 5 levels of ecologies, and then now we have to see in our ecosystem. I am sure most of you that the most confused is the ecosystem. So when we talk about ecosystem, there are few important components. The first one is the solar energy, our sun. If one day our sun is missing, what will happen? Okay, everything's get into dark, and then what will die? Our tree will die. When our trees die, no oxygen for us, a lot of carbon dioxide. Who will be the next die? Earth, right? So you can see, first is our solar energy, second is the producer. It's like the food change that you learn when you are in your secondary class, in science class, or even your primary. Okay, so we have the producer. After we have the producer, see, so we have the producer, and then we have herbivorous or carnivore, and then we have the decomposer. Finally is the abiotic chemicals. And then all of these process are actually creating heat. Okay, release heat. So when so much of heat, every process is actually releasing heat. It's just like when we eat some things, we are having energy, so we have to release our heat. So all of us are releasing our heat. What is going on? So the temperatures will be going up. When it's hot, so the temperature is going up. So means when we're releasing the heat is actually come from where? The sources. It's actually the carbon dioxide. Okay, it's actually our carbon dioxide, right? So you just need to remember we have 5 major components. So when we having the carbon dioxide, we release all the carbon dioxide. So you can see from here, we only have one process that absorb the carbon dioxide. Okay, there is only one process, which is photosynthesis, taking carbon dioxide. The others all are giving back the carbon dioxide to the environment. So just imagine, if we didn't control our carbon dioxide, what will happen to our earth? Okay. So this is the concept of ecologies. Okay. So when we talk about the ecologies, the concept of the ecologies is actually we have 10 concept of ecologies. Okay. All right. Let me move myself down here. Okay. So we have 10 concept of ecologies. Okay. When we have 10 concept of ecologies, the first thing you can see is start from the cycles. So the circulations of the chemicals elements in the biospheres from the environments to organism and back to the environments. In details, I'm not going to explain to you. You just need to understand that we have the 10 concept of the ecologies, and then you can read by yourself. Okay. So the cycles, food change, community, carrying capacity, range of tolerance, limiting the factors, threshold effect, habitats, ecological niche, and then finally is the biological clocks. Okay, so this is the range of the tolerance. So it's just like our humans. The organism is actually have their tolerance range. They have a maximum range and also the minimum range. So you can see organisms have a range of tolerance for each limiting factors that they encounter. The tolerance is the ability of any organism to survive when they expose. So you can see here, so when there is no organisms, so it's like it having a very peaceful. So when the temperature is low, there is no organism can be survived. Just like humans. If I ask you to survive in a minus 50 degrees temperatures, minus 100 degrees temperature, what is your feelings? Do you still want to active? Options no. Okay. So when you're coming to getting hot, you start to have a field organism. The standard temperatures that the fish will like is about 26 degrees, and then it has a few layers. So some fish will located at the most bottom side, and then some on the middle, some on the surface. Okay, so you can see during the optimum range, we will have the abundance of organism, and then when it's going up the temperatures again, so it will reduce and no more, right? So this is the principles. And then we also have 10 principles of the ecologies. So we have the distribution species is limited by the burials, no population increase without limits, good and poor place exist for every species, overexploited populations can collapse. As I mentioned to you just now, if you kill the snake, then the frog will become overexploited. So what will happen? It's just like when you kill the frog and then you decide to kill the frog. So the food for the frog is actually our mosquito. So when the mosquito was exploited, what will happen? Okay, communities can rebound from a disturbance. You gaduh dengan kawan kamu, but then you berpisah. After sometimes you will gain it back. Okay. Community can exist in several stable configurations. Keystone species may be essential to a community. Natural system recycle the essential material. Climate change is actually equal to our community change. And then finally, the nature system are the product of evaluations. If your nature system is good, that means our living style also good. Okay, this is the end for the chapter 2. So now we're coming into chapter 3. Okay, so the chapter 3 ethics is actually relate back to chapter 1 when we're talking about the stages of environmental concern. So we have the stages, principle, and then the ethics. So you can see about the ethics, how we identify the ethics, right? So the definitions of ethics, only ethics, okay, is a concern with actions and practice that are directed to improving the welfare of people. Okay, usually we would like to improve some things. Okay, the quest for an understanding of what constitutes a good life and a concern for creating the conditions for humans to attain that is good life. And then the final one is the study of what it is good and right for humans being and what goals people ought to pursue and what actions they ought to perform. This is the C1 is actually the most easier to understand. When we say about ethics, it means it's something that relates to the morals. It's some things that we should know what is correct, what is wrong. By not by rules, but as a human being, what is the true one? Okay. Okay, the simple ones. Killing a person is a correct or wrong? The answer is definitely wrong. No matter what kind of reason you're giving. Sama ada dia tu bersalah besar ke, perompak besar ke, perogol ke, anything also. Kalau kita bunuh orang secara automatik dari segi etik and moral, this is wrong. Okay? Right. Okay. So from the ethics, you dah tahu, you know what is good, what is not good. So when we're coming into the environment ethic, so ethic for the environments, that is we're coming in a different one. Okay. So the general definition is, okay, first we look into the general definition. It means that the critical thinking with respect to the policy of the private and public sectors that have been developed in response to the environmental problems and questions the assumptions upon which those policy are based. Okay, so generally kita adalah respect to the policy. Kita mengikut undang-undang ataupun polisi yang telah dibuat. Right? But then when we look into a traditional approach in the Western societies toward the natures, the objective, how they define the environment ethic is to objectify the nature and see the nature as existing to serve the human purpose. So what is this actually? This one is located at which stages? It's a conservation. So we take that the environment having the right to serve us. And then the nature is there to be manipulated and to serve the human interest and no interest of its own that deserve to be respected. This is not a definition that I like. Okay. So I would call, okay. And then also this one. So for anthropocentrics, as the human aspect, environment ethic. So it said that the right and wrongs are determined by the human interest. As a human being, we always think that we are the most biggest, we are the most strongest and powerful. So the right and wrongs are determined by us and the promotions of human welfare as the ultimate objective. Tak kira lah apa-apa, asalkan kalau manusia rasa yang ini betul, so I can do it whatever I like. Okay? Also called as a humanistic ethic, as the concern for the environment is of a low priority than concern for humans who are held or hurt by the conditions of their environment surrounding. Okay, so where are we or where are you, right? Okay, so after the environment ethic, kita ada lagi satu. We have one more, which is economy ethic. Have you ever heard about economic ethics? So the ethical performance of a business is tied up with the marketplace performance. So this is all of us should know. The performance of our business is actually tied up with our marketplace. If your market performance is very good, that means your performance of your business is good. Okay. So a successful business performance and acceptable ethical behavior are believed to be one and the same thing. Okay. So in other words, the social and ethical responsibility of business are exhausted in terms of marketplace performance. Okay. If business perform its economizing function well, it has fulfilled its social and ethical responsibility. Okay, for economic ethics, it means that seorang businessman konsep dia berjual, berniaga adalah dia akan fikir, okay, yang penting saya buat business. I do the business, I gain money, so I contribute back some of it. Dan so saya tak merugikan, so saya membawa naik ekonomi negara, means I'm done. Okay, dan saya tak tipu my customer. Do you think so? Okay, so look at this. Look at this thing. Management had no motivations to pay attention to the environmental matters. Pernah tak dengar any businessman that having an environmental mindset? They would like to care about this, care about that. Last time, yes, we didn't have this, but currently, okay, so this is what we are facing. So a lot of people, when they are doing business, they never care about this. As long as saya untung. Betul tak? It's the same things, right? Just fikir. You all yang ada buat part time, okay. It's easier. Rumah ada tak siapa yang buat business? So what is your thinkings when you're doing your business? The first thing that coming into your idea is saya nak untung. Am I correct? So this is what is some things that happens. Okay. Right. So this is the current directions in environmental ethics. All right. So this is the goals that we use to achieve to our green philosophy. Okay. Dalam environmental ethics, we actually divide into two main groups. Okay. So the first group is about the moral extensions and also the eligibles. Saya berhak mendapat. Okay. Or biocentrism, deep ecologies. Okay, kita ada dua ni. So it divided into two of these. So for moral extension or an eligibility, we said it as a extending moral considerations to the entities and has changed a host of institutional practice that have been impact on humans being. Okay. And then extending the esteem in which the individual lives were traditionally held to the biophysics metrics that create the sustain to those life. Okay, so this is the example. This is the example. Okay, the right to a safe and hazard-free workplace extended through the legislations and regulation regarding safety and health. Okay. So this is something yang you terpaksa ikut. Because why? There is something been stated in the regulations. Okay, so it's a moral extension. Daripada segi the moral values that you having, you extend it to others. Okay. Second example that I can give you is like, as a human being, okay, contohnya is a racism. I'm not going to touch anything, but then it's like one of the example. Orang putih dengan orang hitam di US. Okay, because this is the example that I learned when I studied the law for environments. Okay, a black and a white in US. So when they are fighting, as an environmental ethics, this shouldn't be happens because those both belongs to human being. So the moral extension, we should go to the blacks because the white shouldn't be taking the racism on them, right? So the second example, you can say, use the vehicles of right to extend the moral concerns to more and more aspect of natures, but these rights are given by the humans being. Sebagai manusia, kita patut berasa simpati. It is something like the point like this. Okay, when you look into the second one, okay, biocentrism, the deep ecologies. When we talk about deep ecology, something's that deep into your heart. Okay, so we devalues the individual life relative the integrity, diversity, and continuous of the ecosystem. Kita memahami disebabkan everyone is located inside the ecosystem. Okay, so the extending the esteem is which the individuals live traditionally to the biophysical metrics that create and sustain those life. So the example is the difference between it is assume the nature already has the intrinsic value that needs to be recognized by liberating the natures from the system which is currently trapped. Okay, so the difference between these two is actually, okay, let me tell you. What is the difference between these two is actually one, this one, you start by yourself, which is human being. Kita yang jadi main point. For this one, you believe the environments has the intrinsic value. Okay. Satu, kamu buat disebabkan because of yourself. You have that belief. So starting from yourself. But for the biocentrism, the deep ecology is actually you believe that the nature has its own value. So means the concept like mostly kalau lebih senang untuk memahami adalah satu actually ada ego sendiri, satu lagi kamu memang percaya no matter who are located in this world, in this environment, everybody has its own value, right? Okay, I hope you are clear about this. So kalau ada soalan, I don't mind you ask me questions, okay? So this is something that I would like to share for you. So this is our path towards the green philosophies. Okay, so how you identify your own green philosophies? Okay, for myself, I'm more to the deep ecologies one because I always believe no matter whatever is that having currently, there must be some, mesti ada sebab dia dan mesti ada sebab kenapa dia di sana dan mesti ada sebab why it needs to be available. Okay, right. So that's all for our topics, chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. All right. So you can ask me any questions through the stream in the Google Classroom or even through our WhatsApp group. Okay. I'm welcome any kind of questions so that we can have both two ways of communications. So that's all for today's lectures. I hope you can follow and also understand it. Okay, right? So thank you all of you. I will see you on next week again through the videos. But then for Thursday, I usually will give you one simple questions when you fill up your attendance form, just like last week one. So I will ask you like a very casual questions that you can answer without any formality, right? So thank you guys, and then I will see you again. Bye. Enjoy your week and having a good online learning.